I see one person connecting, so
On live, go ahead.
okay. Good morning. I am State Representative Sandra G. Scott, and I would like to thank you all for joining us this morning from the Georgia House Democratic Subcommittee on COVID-19 virtual hearing on unemployment insurance benefits. I would first like to go over a few housekeeping rules. Please keep your phones on mute if you're not speaking. And I would like for you all to know that this hearing is not for personal attacks. We are here to hear from the claimants and experts on the issues and problems that we are having with the Georgia Department of Labor. Now, the purpose of this meeting this morning is to hear testimony from individuals impacted by unprocessed unemployment benefits claims, non-payment and partial payments of such claims, as well as the appeal process. We're going to go along and get started with the program. And first, I would like to introduce the legislators that are on the call. We have Representative Kim Schofield, Representative Viola Davis, and Representative Rhonda Bernal. And our first claimant would be Miss Kenyatta Barnes. Kenyatta, if you can unmute yourself. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, could you speak up a little louder?
Okay, is this better? Let me turn my mic up. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm here to talk about myself and also the other, countless people who have been affected by the pandemic unemployment assistance program. That's over 4 million people in the state of Georgia who are in some way impacted by this. I want to talk about the lack of communication from the Department of Labor, the lower payments. People are receiving payments that are lower than they're supposed to receive. And also the no harmless fraud that has happened throughout the state of Georgia. Individuals have had their entire pandemic unemployment benefits just taken away from them by fraudsters, and we don't really have the capacity to address that. And finally, I want to talk about with the subcommittee, this Way to Go program. A lot of the no harmless fraud and a lot of the people who have had payments reduced, it is in some way connected to this contractor that the state of Georgia uses. So I want to start by telling a quick story about my experience, and then I want to give some recommendations. So in July, I applied for pandemic unemployment insurance, and within a week, I was locked out of my account. I consistently tried to get back into my account for several months. Finally, I was able to get a number to an ID Me, a federal contractor that does identification verification. I sent my passport, my driver's license, social security information. I was then let back into my portal. Once I got back into my portal, I noticed that there had been payments made to a card in the amount of over $11,000 that went to a Way to Go card that I never received. I contacted the Way to Go programs, sitting on hold for hours at a time. And in doing that, sometimes 3-hour hold times. My claim for fraud was denied, as were most people. And now I am stuck holding the bill of an $11,000 tax burden. And currently I'm working with the DeKalb police to help to do some prosecution with this because the purchases were all made in DeKalb County. So Representative Schofield wanted me to hold up a recommendation, so I'm going to respect that. But I just want to give other people the opportunity to tell their story, that my story is not unique, and it has happened over and over again in the state of Georgia. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we will go to Sharon.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Actually, to be honest with you, mine is one of the easier stories. I actually, within 2 days of the federal shutdown, that would have been March 22nd, I had been watching the entire process since COVID was really becoming a pandemic. So within 2 days of me having to report to there were two opportunities that I was supposed to report to. One was the Census Bureau, and the other was a contract with the University of Maryland. That didn't happen because of the shutdown. So 2 days before I was due there, when I got word immediately from both that they were not moving ahead during the pandemic, I went on ahead and applied. Initially, I did know that PUA was going to be, and it was coming down the pike. I've been a contractor now for about 5 years as a creative professional. I'm registered with the Creative Group and Creative Circle. My areas of expertise was as a writer, brand messaging consultant, I also work as a brand coach or to help solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. I've done everything from writing media scripts and as well as producing some level of media, website, web development, particularly web design, and writing content for that, as well as, oh gosh, I can write it. I've had to survive, so I've done everything in this book, including editing, ebooks, blah blah blah. All right, so that it was already a hard market, but when this came down the pike, I was wanting the PUA system. I knew that was coming, and at the time that I applied, it had not been, the CARES Act and the PUA option had not fully become accessible within Georgia Department of Labor. That didn't happen until April 15th. I made some personal mistakes because I couldn't reach people. Number one, the websites, initially, the application process, the language of application process was not clear. There are certain kinds of questions that if you didn't answer them correctly, you could be disqualified, even if you were qualified. So, I'm a writer, so and a web writer, so I was particularly keen to that. So there were some questions that needed answering, and I knew that they were also loophole questions. So in my attempts to reach Georgia Department of Labor representatives, of course, at that point, all physical offices were closed. There was no, I was like everybody else. I would sit on the phone for 3 to 4 hours trying to get hold of somebody, and the call would just drop. That happened every day, and it became a full-time job for at least 3 weeks to try to reach somebody. Eventually, simultaneously, I took to social media. I went immediately to Twitter and to find out more information. Every number I got did not work. So there were two issues here. Number one, the website was not written correctly with clear instructions. Number two, of course, the Georgia Department of Labor just was not prepared. Yeah, I clearly wasn't prepared. I'm a former journalist, so I've done stories on state, particularly how states run various departments. Recently, I discovered that the current system actually is still built on COBOL, a defunct COBOL of all things, COBOL, to manage this level. I mean, it's that antiquated. I had no idea, so it made perfect sense to me. Like I said, my experience was a lot easier than a vast majority of people I know. I did finally, when I took to social media, I did find the Georgia Unemployment Issues COVID-19 headed by Lauren Crace, and they were very helpful early in the process because I think the site had just started. And I went on ahead and there were some numbers that were kind of circulating. I finally got a hold. I too, like everyone else, I tried to find numbers that were viable. Finally found one, got through. By that time, I had already reapplied, assuming that my application hadn't gotten through or gotten, which actually slowed my process down. All in all, though, once I did apply, well, there was another issue too. I did not know, even though I sent upon application, all of my documentation. Earlier in that process, they didn't have ID me. So I did it directly. And so I had already provided them with the necessary information. There were problems with the processing, such as they claimed they didn't see my documentation. You know, there was a lot of places where there were holes. It was like a sieve. And I couldn't reach them, and they didn't return calls for me to know what I needed to complete my application. Finally, I did. I reached somebody and discovered that there were holes in their information, and I would not have known had I not been aggressive. April 15th, I did go ahead and reapply by April 22nd. I was given the link to PUA, went on ahead and applied for PUA. From that point, it was only a month. I received 3 payments of PUA plus the 600. Then that shut down, and I didn't know why. So then I had to go back and discovered that there was something very small. I can't even remember, to be honest with you. That became resolved. I have not missed a payment. I have not personally had issues. Although I know my circumstance has been, other than, you know, it's been very difficult trying to get work in this market right now. But I'm one of the lucky ones. So that's my story.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, if you have any comments or questions, you can put them in the chat. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Next, we will hear from Nancy Flake Johnson, who is the chair of the Urban League with Metro Atlanta. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Representative Scott. Thank all of you. My name is Nancy Flake Johnson, the Urban League of Greater Atlanta, and we have been in a unique position from the beginning of the pandemic in serving families day to day who were facing financial crisis. 2020 marks our centennial year, and when the pandemic hit, we immediately transitioned to online portals so that our community could reach us either by phone or through the internet. And we also immediately reached out to several resources to secure what we knew would be a vital lifeline to support families through, and that is for emergency rental, mortgage, utility, and food assistance. From that unique vantage point, we have to collect important information, document individuals' incomes, their sources of their incomes, their budgets, their rent. And I can tell you, it has been a devastating but highly rewarding experience to be in a position to offer a lifeline, because case after case, and I don't want to say that, I want to say family after family who applied for these resources, almost every family had challenges accessing their unemployment benefits. Almost everyone lost their job unless you had a certain level of, for the most part, education and income. Most of our low to moderate income families are service workers. They're our essential workers. So they've served, and when the pandemic hit, the benefits were not flowing. And from our vantage point, there have been many who have applied since March and April, since the very beginning, who have either not received any benefits at all to this day, or took 3, 4, sometimes 5 months to receive benefits. By then, months and months and months of rent had accumulated. Now, I don't understand why, you know how that is, crazy. Go away. I don't know why that's doing that when I'm telling it to go away. But anyway, here's the thing. This is the most important thing. We partner with the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute. And just on Friday, they released a report on Workforce 2020 here in Georgia. And some of the key highlights from that report, I do want to share with you because they tell you the context of where we are. So, and before we do that, I want to say what has come to light, coupled with schools not opening and then closing, many of our citizens cannot work even though they want to, because they have very young children with no childcare options. And so the importance of unemployment in a situation where you cannot work due to a national, international emergency, where you cannot cover your rent, your food, your utilities, these are the basic needs of our families. And so I do want to share with you some key points. First and foremost, over 4.1 million Georgians have filed for unemployment benefits since the pandemic hit. That has affected Latinx and Black Georgians disproportionately. By November, the 71% of the claims that were filed compared to all others were by Black Georgians. And that is really indicative of the fact that Black Georgians have historically have less wealth to turn to in support of themselves, and they're in the lower wage income brackets because they are service workers. Georgians remain enrolled in unemployment insurance at a level that is 10 times that of this same period last year. From late March until October, nearly 8 consecutive months, Georgians filed more than 41,000 claims per week. During the peak, unemployment rate was 12.6, and while it is down as of October, the unemployment rate does not tell the entire story of Georgia's unemployment levels. While jobless rates for Black Georgians are actually doubled and sometimes tripled that of their white counterparts. 9 months in, the economy is still up and down. And so jobs for those who have returned to work, many have not returned to full-time employment. In coming to a close, I want to share some of the highlights of the common issues and concerns and experiences of Georgians that have interfaced with the Georgia Department of Labor. And I do so in the context that we know this is unprecedented times. The numbers shot up overnight. So it is understandable in the early months that there would be adjustments that would have to be made. There clearly were not enough staff to support the volume of claims. The infrastructure of the agency from a technological standpoint, inadequate. But what's most alarming and concerning is that as these issues were brought to light, there was not a spirit of collaboration. There was a lack of transparency, inability to engage, to simply sit at a table and say, we're on the ground. We're hearing the needs of our people, our communities, and we can't get answers, and neither can they. So these are, so the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute, and we participated in this process, did conduct a survey, and 117 unemployed Georgians responded, and some of the concerns that they raised were consistent across the board. And I'll share some with you. That were actually verbatim quotes. I have no way of knowing what is taking so long to approve or deny my benefits. The website is 99.44% non-user friendly. It doesn't help. Their news updates about how great they are a slap in the face to the millions of Georgians still struggling. The system is broken. That the time it takes to process and make a determination on a claim is absolutely and entirely too long. The website states 21 days to complete and pay out a claim, and that information is simply false. it has taken months with no updates. So the list of complaints, you'll hear more directly from unemployed Georgians, I know, throughout this testimony, but I want to leave you with this, that unemployment benefits in Georgia, first of all, are way too complicated to acquire. We could have used CARES Act dollars and should have used CARES Act dollars to provide the resources for infrastructure that were required early on. Training, hiring. We could have hired some of our unemployed Georgians quickly, put them on the payrolls. They would have had benefits. They'd have a good trajectory toward a livable wage. It is literally appalling that the minimum unemployment benefits that a family would get is $55 a week, and the maximum without federal overlay is $365 a week. And I can tell you from processing behind rent, rent in this region, I know for this region is well over $1,000 no matter what your income. So if you're getting $365 a week, it is literally impossible to stand up your household, particularly if you've been waiting months. Now your rent is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months behind because you cannot work, either because of the circumstances of the pandemic. Georgia, we got to do better than this. We've got to treat our citizens better. They are entitled to these benefits. Guess what? These CARES Act dollars, you know whose money it is? It's our money. It's our hard-earned tax dollars that we demand they must come back with priority to meet the needs of our citizens so that we can help people mask up, follow the rules, so businesses can reopen, so our people can get back to work. And I'm going to close with this. This has just peeled back the onion. We've got a lot of work to do. We're not training our workforce. The low-income citizens need more training so we can make livable wage jobs in the first place. We've got to improve this public education and support more small businesses. So I thank you for this opportunity. It is my honor to be here to share. It is in a spirit of cooperation and collaboration, but it is an urgent call for help, collaboration, and action. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nancy. We're going to continue to move on. Next, we have Earl and Natasha, and they will speak now.
Okay. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Representative Sandra, for having us, and also Representative Kim for having us on. I'm an unemployed Georgian. I was laid off back in June, and it actually took until the week before Thanksgiving to finally get my benefits. I mean, it's a family of 5. I have 2 small kids that are in middle school. I have a daughter that's in college, and I have another daughter that's in college. And it was pretty stressful for us. I mean, when I applied, I was able to get some information back from Georgia Department of Labor in writing, saying that they have gotten my paperwork and they were in the process of processing it. And then a week later, I got another letter stating it was approved, and I should be registering on the site, which I have already done, and started making my weekly claims. I made my weekly claims. I called trying to get a hold of someone at the Clayton County office, to no avail. There was no way for me to leave a message. The phone would, disconnect. And I was at my wit's end because now I'm burning through savings. So what I did, I just continued to make calls, and I just continued to reach out to other unemployed friends of mine, and to find out, what sort of luck that they were having with this process. And everyone was just telling me to just be patient. Eventually they'll get back to you. And that wasn't good enough for me. I have a family that I have to take care of, and, my sole responsibility is making sure that they have what they need. So what I was able to do was I was able to reach out to my state rep, District 61, Mr. Roger Bruce's office. And I spoke with Miss Vanessa Compton and I explained to her my situation. And she was actually able to reach out to the Department of Labor on my behalf. And within 2 days of that, I was able to get a response from a representative from the Department of Labor. She left me a brief message asking me a couple of questions. I was able to call her back, and again, not able to get her on the phone. I mean, I called her like literally 50 times. It was almost like I was stalking her. But I just wanted to know that she had gotten my information and she was in the middle of processing it. And after that, I think it took literally about a week for me to see the benefits started coming in. And this is my first time ever filing for unemployment in Georgia. And I think the whole process is chaotic. And it's frustrating because especially for, people with kids, I mean, we want to get some sort of help. We want to be able to go back to work. But we are being affected by this pandemic because of, childcare. One of my sons is high risk. My wife is also in the high risk category as well. So, something really needs to be done about fixing this system so that we don't have this situation reoccurring again, God forbid. But again, thank you for your time and giving me the opportunity to speak to this panel. And I'll let my wife tell her story.
Hi, everyone. Just to add to what Earl has said, I work part-time as an adjunct professor teaching business, and our school converted to teaching online. And just about when they wanted to switch back into in-person, we had a death in the family. So that was interesting. So they gave me a choice to either come back to work in person or, go, do my thing in New York with the person that passed away in our family. And I chose to do the right thing, which is to honor my family. And we took a risk flying in July to go to New York. So long story short, we came back. My husband said, you should try and file for unemployment and see what happens. But, I was still at the school. So of course I was still on the filing with the school as being employed, but I was actually unemployed. I wasn't making any income or anything like that. So of course I got denied that. But I also got something in the system saying that I qualified for the PUA.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so I filed for that because I do stay at home with my kids because we have our home and it's like a school, right? So we have 3 kids and basically I take care of them. So I work part-time so I can be at home with them to pick them up from school, drop them to school, but now they're at home. So I filed, and just last week, I got this letter saying that I was denied the PUA, but I do stay at home, and that was one of the qualifications. If you take care of kids who have been affected by the COVID, that you will qualify for the PUA. And of course, this is now a goal of mine to appeal it, which I have done. And, we're just going to see what happens with that, but, it's really difficult. And, I just think about people who don't have, the internet connection and all these other things. It's very difficult for them as well. So we just want to be a voice to let people know that it's affecting everybody. If you're a substitute teacher, if you're an adjunct professor, it's affected everyone. So
and if you can raise the, 365 is nothing. It's just absolutely nothing to have a family with that amount.
Yeah,
We're grateful.
This is just one of the workstations for my son. And we have the bulletin board, the computers. We have one on this side. Thank God my daughter's back from her college, but I have to take her back in January. But it's really busy. And we're trying to make everything work, Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you all for your testimony. Next, we will have Cynthia.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this invitation. I first applied for unemployment in October of last year, but was told I had to wait until a week or two before my severance ended, which was in December of last year. I went back in December, finished my filing, and received my first payment in January. My benefit begin date remained October of last year with a year-end date of October of this year. I received an update on my benefits page advising me because the unemployment rate fell below the 8% threshold, the state extended benefits, which I had been receiving, would be decreased from 20 weeks to 13 weeks. I received my first payment on September 15th, and every week thereafter for 5 weeks. The last payment was received October 14th. No notice was sent to me advising me the payments will cease. I gave it a couple of weeks before I started trying to make inquiries. I contacted Representative Davis because she had assisted me with an issue earlier in the spring that was worked out. I continued to call the Department of Labor, but could never get through. I finally decided to call Governor Kemp's office. I called and emailed Mark Butler's office several times, and I called the offices of Senators Perdue and Loeffler. I finally received a call on December 14th from the Department of Labor. I was left a message that my benefit year had ended and that I had to enter a new claim. I was finally able to complete the new claim because that in itself is really quite a maneuver. I received a call from a privacy number, which normally I wouldn't answer, but I thought, let me just answer this call. And luckily I did because it was the Department of Labor asking me a question about the claim, which I answered. I was then advised my claim was complete and my payments would start 17 to 21 days, which now I am in that waiting period. And I bring up that begin date and end date because I too kept in contact with some of the friends that I worked with or some of my ex-employees, and their start date was February of this year. And so I'm thinking because they kept my begin date and end date October, even though I didn't receive that first payment until January, that's why I'm having all the issues that I'm having. But at any rate, you know, they're telling us all these benefits will disappear December 26th or December 31st. So I still have a balance on my page. There is still a balance. And I guess I'll just have to wait and see, 17 to 21 days. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, next we will have Lisa Krishna from Georgia Legal Services. Lisa.
Thank you so much, Representative Scott and the other representatives for having me here today to participate. And I wish that I could say that the personal stories of the Georgians who've testified today is different from what I've heard over the past 8 months in representing persons with low incomes outside of the 5-county metro area. So not Clayton, Cobb, DeKalb, Fulton, or Gwinnett. But I'll tell you that in the other 154 counties that Georgia Legal Services represents persons with low incomes in, they're seeing similar issues. And I'll put our telephone number and way to contact us for possible representation in the chat after I finish speaking. But know that we're working on these issues, and we have represented hundreds of Georgians trying to get their benefits. And I'd like to talk about a few of those issues, especially ones that haven't been specifically identified. We're seeing incredible delays with making determinations on claims. If your employer didn't file for you, it's going to be months and months and months and months before there is a determination. We also know that Georgia denies people at the initial stage at a higher rate than the national median. So that's where delays start. There's then a delay if you are denied at the claims examiner stage to get a hearing. We have clients who've been waiting for more than 6 months to get an administrative hearing on the telephone with a hearing officer, where you may be able to tell your story and convince the hearing officer that you're eligible. Because remember, in Georgia, our codified public policy is that we will pay people unemployment benefits when their unemployment is no fault of their own. And so when you have a strong public policy to pay people, it's usually by the time you get to the hearing stage, hopefully you can convince the hearing officer that you are unemployed for reasons that enable you to get unemployment benefits. But it takes months and months and months and months and months. We also see, I think, as let's see who said this, Miss Vinson, about benefits being terminated without notice. We see this happening for many people whose employers initially filed for benefits and certified for X number of weeks for the claimants, but then the employer stops certifying, and without any notice to you, you stop getting your benefits. And people don't know, why did this happen? And as various people have testified today, you can't get anyone on the phone at the Department of Labor to explain what is going on. You look at your My UI portal and you don't see any notice about why your benefits are terminated, and you have no idea. I will say one improvement is that the Department of Labor has that new online appointment scheduler where you might be able to ask a question, but you don't necessarily, from what I understand from clients, you don't necessarily get an answer. But it is one thing that they'll point to as something that they've done. And for some people, it has, at least given them some information. Another issue when you finally get approved is you might have waited months and months and months and months to get approved, and the Department of Labor says if you didn't certify for all those weeks, you won't get paid. You can only apply for 8 weeks online to do retroactive certification, and if you need to certify for more, you have to fill out a form. And so this is an issue that we've worked on with Atlanta Legal Aid to get the Department of Labor to recognize that they couldn't take away those other weeks of benefits from people, that you can't put a limit on it to be 8 weeks. So if you know people in that situation, there is a place on the Georgia Department of Labor's website to get the forms and to submit them to the Career Center for consideration. I know that's taken a little while, but we're seeing clients now getting those retroactive benefits. We're seeing a number of overpayments now where claimants might have received benefits for a period of time, and then later on the Department of Labor decides you're not eligible. Those are troubling because usually there's an issue with the way the Department of Labor considered the case, and so people should look at those very carefully. The fraud, some people are being accused of fraud, but more often what I'm seeing is that as we've heard today, the way to go cards are being used by somebody who's not the rightful recipient of those benefits, and they're being used in other parts of the state where the claimant has never been during this time period. And I'm very disturbed by a few cases that we have where our client has identified very clearly that they didn't receive the benefits, and the Department of Labor is saying there's nothing more we can do. If you're concerned, go to the police. So that's very troubling because people have waited for so long, and then someone else takes their benefit card and uses it. And that's extremely disturbing. If people see that there's a notice on their MyUI that there's been a request to change their method of payment, people should definitely respond yes or no, because that now looks like a way that the Department of Labor is giving at least information to you that it looks like someone's asked for a change in the payment, and that can be that someone outside has attempted to change your method of payment, and that could be the start of fraud. I think I'll finish in a minute just by saying the word out of Washington with the bill that looks like it's going to pass and get signed by the president includes extensions of 11 weeks for regular unemployment, as well as the pandemic, the PUA unemployment. So that's particularly important for PUA recipients because that was going to end this week. So people should continue to certify as long as they're unemployed, or if they're underemployed, to put in those wages so that they do get benefits when the extended benefits, hopefully it gets approved, that the extended benefits are finally available to people. And as I said, I'll put our contact information in the chat. And I will say, unfortunately, we can't provide immediate advice to people if they call us. You do have to have a low income, and most people in this situation are financially eligible. Know that we are trying to resolve these problems, and we know that people are hurting, and we want to be able to assist as many people as possible. So thank you again, and thanks for all of you who testified today. I'm sorry that you've gone through those issues, but know that there are people who support trying to get benefits to eligible Georgians. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. Next, we will have Mr. Charles Bliss of Atlanta Legal Aid.
Thank you, Representative Scott. Thanks for having me here today, and really thanks for putting on a hearing about this very important topic. This has just been a nightmare issue for Georgians. It's created a lot of harm. Anything that any of us can do to work that out will be a great improvement. And there's no doubt that this is just one of the most important issues that's existed during the pandemic. So thanks for having this hearing and letting us all talk. I am the Director of Advocacy at Atlanta Legal Aid, which Lisa Kreischer, who just talked, is the Director of Advocacy at the Georgia Legal Services Program. We cover the 5 big metro counties. They cover everything else. So we cover Clayton, Gwinnett, Cobb, DeKalb, and Fulton. And Lisa has really covered, because we're sister organizations, she's really covered what we do to a great extent in identifying some of the problems. So like her, I will put our contact information into the chat. And I just wanted to follow up on a couple things that she and others have mentioned, especially for people to be alert to during this time and to follow up on. I wanted to mention that one thing that we've really seen a lot of is that people simply are not able to correct simple mistakes that they may have made in their applications. We've had people who, through inattention, missed a social security number by 1 digit. I'm sure I've done that myself sometime. And there's just been a complete inability to correct that kind of problem or answer the question. And there's some confusing questions that people have missed the answer to. And they've talked, for example, to one of our lawyers, and they've been unable to go back in and just correct the answer because there's been no one to talk to at the department. That's actually led to appeals for very simple corrections. So that's one thing, I guess. It's a nightmare problem, and I pointed out as a problem. We know people are going to make mistakes in applications, of course, but I'd also say go very slow putting your information in, try to get it right, because it's going to be very difficult to correct if you make a typo. I wanted to say again what Lisa said. She said that one disturbing thing we've seen a fair amount of is that the initial claims examiners seem to rule for employers here in this situation where we know thousands of people are unemployed through no fault of their own. yet the state is still ruling against more people than we would anticipate in this circumstance. So that's really added to the delay. More generous, perhaps, more accurate early determinations by state folks determining the initial application would really help eliminate some of the backlog, eliminate some of the people clogging up the process, eliminate some of the appeals clogging up the process. So that would be one place I think the state could quickly look to ameliorate, to improve the backlog we're seeing. And again, following up to some extent on what Lisa said, the fraud situation where the client in Georgia is the person being defrauded. We don't think the department should be waiting for those frauds to be resolved in other states or in other counties or far away before paying the person who can walk in with their passport or their social security card or their kids and demonstrate that they are in fact the person due the benefits. There has been an enormous amount of fraud in connection with these programs, but it's our feeling that you have to get after the people committing fraud. You can't take it out on the people who have been defrauded and require them to somehow find a policeman to arrest the person committing fraud or track that person down before paying them benefits. So that's another simple fix I'd like to urge. We too at Atlanta Legal Aid are getting hundreds of calls from people in all stages of this process. We're trying to help people out with things that we can help. You can periodically get a hold of someone in the Department of Labor who can help you, so we're doing that as well. We're filing appeals. The appeals are stacking up. We're not getting too many of those heard, but we are filing them in situations where we feel like they're appropriate. So we're going to continue to do all those things and help people however we can. And I guess I'll just keep this short because I feel like anything else I would say is kind of redundant with what has been said already. I thank all the clients, particularly who testified, and our state representatives for putting this on. And I will put the Atlanta Legal Aid contact information in the chat. What we have is a website. We have the way to get a hold of us is to call into each of our 5 separate offices, the one nearest you live to. So go to the website. There's a button that says Get Help. Hit the Get Help button and find the offices closest to you. And one last thing, we have a statewide senior hotline that helps people all around the state who are seniors. Those aren't people the most victimized by unemployment, but there are lots of seniors who are working and lost jobs and lost benefits. There is no income limit on that hotline, and it is statewide. That hotline, senior hotline number, is also on our website. So if you have seniors, that might be an additional resource to them, in addition to perhaps calling Georgia Legal Services or anyone else, is that senior hotline. With that, I will stop. And again, thank everyone who's participated.
Thank you, Mr. Bliss. Thank you. And next we will have Lauren Crace. And she has been working with the Facebook group for unemployment insurance benefits group. Okay, Lauren.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to share with the committee my experience of the Georgia unemployment system during this unprecedented public health and economic crisis. I'm Lauren Crace, and in March of 2020, I was furloughed from my 13-year career in the flooring industry. The confusing process of filing and actually receiving unemployed benefits made me create a Facebook group looking for support that I could not get from calling the Georgia Department of Labor or the Department of Labor website. The Facebook group, Georgia Unemployment Issues COVID-19, connected me with over 14,000 Georgians experiencing unemployment this year. The group also exposed me, and hopefully every Georgia elected official, to the immense and destructive failures of our beloved state of Georgia's Department of Labor during this crisis. The group has heard the cries for help from over 10,000 people. We've done our best as a community to support each other through the claims process. Our group tells the story of working people falling on a tattered and insecure safety net. To protect families and workers, we need leaders to fix this system immediately. The top areas of consistent failure in service that our group, Georgia Unemployment Issues, have seen include the following, but are no means exhaustive. These are the priority areas that we ask this committee and the governor and Commissioner Mark Butler to focus on fixing. First, the inadequate policies and procedures and qualifications of the program, poor communication and inaction from the department, outdated and insecure payment systems, and to create a task force to reform this system. The inadequate policies and procedures have created wrongful denials. People who qualify for programs and are being denied because of the system. The exclusion of education workers, bus drivers, gig workers, contractors, self-employed, undocumented workers, they're all being excluded on a normal basis through the unemployment system. Claimants are currently being switched from unemployment insurance to PUA, and in some cases back again, not knowing what program they actually qualify for or belong to, which in turn leads to overpayment letters being sent to them because they were receiving benefits on an incorrect program. Claim examiners' dates right now are being given 4 months out. So people who have been waiting for months already are being given dates 3 to 4 months from the date of their phone call. Appeal dates are taking 4 to 5 months in some cases, when in a lot of instances, these appeals could have been headed off. As Charles said, I believe a lot of appeals are because little errors were made and can't be corrected easily because we can't get in touch with anybody. The poor communication leaves hold times on phones 2 to 4 hours. It really makes it to become a full-time job to collect your unemployed benefits. Calls are left unanswered and unreturned. If you leave a message respecting a call back, you will not receive that call back. The appointment system that they scheduled to get an appointment is very, very hard to come by. And when you do get an appointment, you're not being called during the window that you were giving during your appointment time. So Georgia Department of Labor is not even standing behind the systems they have tried to put into place to correct some of the issues. Emails go unanswered and left unread. The website is grossly confusing to navigate. There is no, if I can go online and I can track my pizza being made, put into an oven and being delivered to me, there is no reason I should not be able to track the process of my unemployment claim and what status my unemployment claim is in, what documentation might be needed in order to push that program through to receive my payments. There should be notifications of fraud alerts so that people can even know that there is information being changed on their claim. And in a lot of cases, people are being locked out of their accounts and don't even know that it's due to fraud. So there is a gross miscommunication between the claimant and the unemployment claim itself. Payments are being issued. Way to Go has got to go. They are holding no responsibility for people who are receiving cards for claimants who deserve these benefits, and there is no one being held responsible for this. It is fairly simple for someone to get your information and to go on and change your banking information, your direct deposit information, and they're being sent a Way to Go card. And as one of the ladies said earlier, $11,000 has went missing in her name, and she is responsible for the taxes on that money. So Way to Go has got to go. And also this task force, there needs to be a task force implemented by the people who have went through this process and understand the unemployment process so that we can reform this system to work for the people who have worked for it for years and years. We have paid into this system and we have asked for very little in return, except for the system to work for the people when we need it to work for us. I don't feel like this is a lot to ask. We just want to have clear communication, have someone held accountable for the fraud that is happening to the claimants, and for the mistakes that are made. We understand that people are human and mistakes happen. We just need a system to remedy the mistakes when they happen, and they need to remedy in a way that works for the claimants. So my ask for the committee today is to let's implement this task force so that we can make sure that this system works for the working people. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now we have Khadijah Bozeman. Khadijah Bozeman.
Hi, nice to meet y'all. I'm Khadijah Bozeman. So recently I was unemployed. I was working all the way up to the coronavirus started in April. I was still working, and then my job stopped having work to do. So they put me on a temporary leave where they then filed my unemployment claim. And then after me receiving a couple of payments, my unemployment claim stopped. And when I asked my job why it stopped, they said that they're not sure. So in the meantime, while it stopped, I just went and I was walking back and forth to this job. I found this job to work at up the street. And I was walking back and forth working there. And they actually hired someone else because I was getting a little tired walking back and forth, trying to save money, trying to pay for everything. My home, my car was repoed. So long story short, my job ended up refiling my unemployment claim, and then it stopped again. I only received one payout from the second time they filed my unemployment claim, and I asked them why did it stop, and they told me once again that they are not sure. I received a message, a phone call from a lady named Deborah from the unemployment office, where she told me that I should be receiving a determination in the mail soon. And when I actually received my determination, it said that my benefits were stopped due to me not wanting anyone to watch my children, which I am actually not sure where the children came in from, as I don't have any kids. I'm not sure where my manager got that from or where the Department of Labor have that from, but I have this all in emails from my manager, where I asked her exactly, where I sent over the paperwork that the Department of Labor sent me that said I was determined to not receive unemployment due to refusing to go to work out of my own consciousness, due to me not wanting anyone to watch my kids, which was not true. I didn't work at that point because my job didn't have any jobs available where they did file my unemployment. So when I talked to my job about it, my job, they emailed me back that they will file my unemployment claim, and they're not sure where the Georgia Department of Labor received that information from, because they didn't tell them anything about having kids. So I have those emails, but when I actually spoke to someone from the Georgia Department of Labor, after calling numerous amount of times, someone did answer the phone and speak to me, where they told me that they're not sure exactly what's going on, but they see where my job said that I refused to go to work when they offered me a job, which is why my determination was I'm not going to receive benefits. However, my job is sending me emails saying, we are rooting for you to get benefits. We have requested multiple times for you to get benefits. We ourselves have went and filed your unemployment claim multiple times for you to receive benefits. We're exactly not sure what's going on. And it's really hard for me because at this point I've lost my home. Now I'm roommating with someone because it was getting really hard for me. I was actually working. I was walking back and forth to a job. I have you know, my check stubs and everything for that still. So I wasn't just being lazy or anything. I legit was trying my hardest. And like this year, I watched everything I love like completely just be taken away from me. My home, my car, like everything. And like I said, I'll work, but I haven't received any benefits for like the last 5 months. And my car right now is repoed, but my dealership, the repo company, they're trying to hold my car for me until I can try to get a payment. But I have until January 5th to get some type of payment. So I've been emailing Georgia Department of Labor, the emails that I find through Facebook groups. I've been trying. I really need somebody to try to work with me, help me out. I have all the emails from my job saying that we're temporarily out due to no jobs available right now. I've been at that job for 5 years and it's just, I don't know what to do. Please, somebody help me out.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. This is really, really touching. It's really touching. I really don't even know what to say at this point, but I am just so thankful that we decided to have this hearing today. And I see that we have more representatives that have gotten on the line. But before I have the representatives to come and speak, is there anyone else from the audience that would like to have a word about their unemployment?
I would.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, so I first filed in April after being fired from a job in February due to my kids being sick right before the pandemic was actually considered a pandemic. They got sick. There was no way of, the doctors didn't know what was wrong with them. So I filed in February. I didn't hear April. I didn't hear from anybody or didn't get any type of paperwork. Couldn't get no callbacks, couldn't get no emails. So in June, I got a job. So I just left it alone. I was going to be working, so I didn't need unemployment. I didn't need PUA. Back in the end of July, 1st of August, my kids got sick again. I was working at a major distribution center where there was COVID cases all the time. So I was thinking, I'm asymptomatic, carrying it home to my children because my daughter, she is asthmatic. But the COVID testing kept coming back negative. I went back to work the 1st of September after the 3rd negative COVID test. My daughter's still not fully well, but I had to work trying to provide for my children. The end of September, 1st of October, I was fired after my 90 days probationary period because they claimed that my background came back inefficient. I filed again, unemployment, because the employer, they let me work for 90 days and then at their will, because Georgia is a right to hire state, they fired me because of my background after letting me work this amount of time. I got a letter of disqualification last week from filing in October, and it said I was disqualified again because I couldn't meet the requirements of the job. Because of a fault of my own that I knew of previously. This year alone, I've lost my house. I've lost my car. I have had to move 3 different times because I have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old that I have to see about. I'm their only support. I am their only means of anything. I just don't know what to do. Like, this is, if I wasn't living with one of my children's grandmother, me and my children would be homeless. But where would we go? I don't know what to do anymore. I don't ask for handouts. I don't ask for anything that I don't need. And if I didn't need it, I wouldn't have done it in the first place. I just don't know what to do anymore. Like I keep getting disqualified because Georgia is a right to hire, right to fire state. And if whatever they put on your separation letter is, that's what the Department of Labor goes by. But if I'm having to stay at home because my 9-year-old is in school virtually, what can I do? I mean, what do you do? And then you try to appeal it, and it takes forever to appeal. Like I have a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old. I was unable to buy them Christmas. I had to humble and put my pride aside and empty stocking, angel tree. You know how hard that is on a mother that has been the main provider of your children? It makes me feel less of a mother. And I just don't know what to do anymore. Like, how? What? When? Where? Where does it benefit the people that actually put in the money and work hard for the assistance, but then when you ask for the assistance, you can't get it?
Okay. Okay, thank you. Your name, Desiree?
Desiree Dotson.
Okay, Desiree Dotson. Okay. It's hard, and trust me, we are trying to do all that we can. But we have Kershaw Cartwright from the Georgia DOL on the call. Kershaw, do you have any comments or anything that you would like to say?
Well, I mean, we are continuing to look at claims. We are continuing to monitor the situation. You know, I wanted to be part of the call today just to kind of listen to see what was happening. Someone mentioned earlier the fact that, you know, we do have to make determinations based upon the fact that someone is unemployed due to no fault of their own. So we will continue to follow the rules that the state of Georgia put forth in making those determinations. We are hiring folks to help us to shorten the time frame. But as the responsible party for both state and federal dollars, we are responsible for following those guidelines, and we will continue to do that. We have issued over $16 billion since March to Georgians, and we are continuing to pay them and make all the eligible payments that we can, and we are doing that in a timely fashion, and we'll continue to do that.
Representative Scott, can I say something?
Yes, thank you, Kershaw. Yes, go ahead, Ro.
Hi. Okay, I'm Roshan Walker. I'll make it quick, and I thank you for taking my call, having this platform. I am a local business owner, okay, in Clayton County. I have served this county since 2003. As a catering company, I am the one that the county could call on to assist in our first responders, our representatives, those who were in need. I made my space available, my time, and my gift of providing food, meals, otherwise. As a result of this pandemic, I had to, first of all, let my space go in order to keep my employees. Then I had to eventually let them go because of the pandemic. I applied for unemployment as a small business owner because that's what qualified me, and was approved. A week later, I get a denial letter. They say, you are not eligible in Georgia because you have wages, you can apply in Illinois. I have never lived or worked in Illinois. I have gone through this process. I applied for an appeal in June of this year. I have yet to hear anything. I went through the Identify Me process through a Zoom call where they verified that I have never lived or worked in Illinois. To this day, I have not received one copper penny. I am beyond frustrated. I am beyond upset. I am beyond passionate, not just for me, but just other people who are in need of what I've worked for. I've been in this community, serving this community. You all put on my initial approval letter, my company, which showed my wages. I have filed taxes since 2003 with a Schedule C specifically for my business. And you all, that being the Georgia Department of Labor, told me who the person was in Illinois that was using my name. So you knew it wasn't me, but you're now putting the burden on me to prove to you that it was me when you know it's not me, and I still have no money. I don't know what to do. I've actually gone to the police department and filed a police report using my social security number against another man's name that now I got to go and find in Illinois. For what purpose? What does that have to do with what I've earned and already put into that I'm qualified for? Somebody has got to make me understand this, because I heard the comment from the lady from the Georgia Department of Labor when you say you're following your guidelines and your rules. But what does your rules say when you tell me that I got to prove to you that I am who I am, and I do that, and you still haven't done anything?
Okay, thank you.
Roshan Walker, that's my name.
Okay, Roshan Walker.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Walker. We have Anoya Chang on the line, Changa on the call. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you so much for calling me, Representative Scott. Good morning. My name is Anoa Changa. I am a freelance journalist that's currently doing some work with Essence this month. I was just curious as to next steps after this meeting. We've heard some really heartful testimony from folks about some of the gaps in the system. So what are the next steps for the caucus or for helping to move this forward so that Georgians can get what they need and deserve? Thank you.
Yes, our next steps. The first thing that we will be doing after this call, we'll be getting together to see what our next step, what they would be. We have gone to the governor, and we are going to make a plea to the governor again to please step in, because he is the only one. Remember, Mark Butler is voted on by the people. He is a state elected official, just as we are. So he's not entitled to speak with us, in which he will not. We will try to reach back out to the Georgia Department of Labor to have a hearing. They do not answer our calls either. We have tried to have a conversation with Commissioner Butler to no avail, but we will be reaching out to the governor because he is the only one at this point that can intervene into the Department of Labor for answers. It's the governor. Because as you all know, we have done all that we know to do to try to resolve the situation. And so that is what we will be doing. We will definitely keep everyone on this call abreast to what is going on. You will be hearing from us through social media as well as through email about our next steps and what we will be doing to continue to work to solve this horrible problem we are having with the Department of Labor. So next, Representative Schofield, but before Representative Schofield will come on, then we will have questions from the media. Okay, Representative Schofield.
Right. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning. Thank you for being on the call. I wanted to just add on to some of the next steps. In addition to going to the governor and going back, we have filed a request through the Attorney General's office for an investigation of the Department of Labor. And we are waiting to hear from that. There's also been an inquiry that this group has made with the our congressional leaders. So we have had that in place. So from the federal to the top down, we've not stopped working on this. And we hear the stories. We tell you from the bottom and the top of our heart, our empathy is there, our sympathy is there, our prayers are there, and I know that's not enough. So we are continuing committed to make sure that we're bringing this out. We need you to make calls to the governor's office. We need you to keep calling the Department of Labor. We need you to find any solution that you can on your own and work with us to let us know. We're trying to find you resources within the community. So you have lost your job through no fault of your own. We had a pandemic that we did not prepare for, but we also have the labor department, the largest in the state, that has dropped the ball and failed us miserably. And we all can shake our head in agreement with that. So we will be starting looking to get a task force together. The legislators on this phone have legislation that we will be introducing in the next session. And so that no one should be going through this again, and especially in these traumatic and stressful times. So those are some of the things that we are working on as our next steps. We are policymakers, so we write legislation and make policies. When the policies fail, we step in and we make sure we become activists and advocates for you. So at this time, we'll open it up to the attorney, to the media. Representative Scott?
Yes, and we still have representatives on the call, and we will get with you all shortly. Do the media have any questions? Okay. No questions from the media at this time.
I would like to say something, please, if I'm able to.
Okay, make it short, please.
Okay, I will. Long story short, I filed for unemployment back in May. It was at the beginning of the COVID-19. So I filed for unemployment back in May, and I didn't hear anything back until June. And I had to obviously, of course, apply for a job because I was literally getting no income. And I had applied at a Waffle House part-time, and I was working there for a short period of time. And then I had left. No, I didn't leave. They let me go because there wasn't any work available. And I was checking on the website, like on my portal in the Waffle House, it was showing that there were claims, like there was money being sent to me. Like it showed like I was getting money like to my home address. And when I would contact them, they didn't say anything. They said get with the Georgia Department of Labor. And of course it takes months to get in contact with somebody. And then after that, I finally got in contact with the representative, and she was telling me like I was denied. And she told me over the phone I was denied because I didn't make a certain amount of hours. And this was in September when I finally received like news about my unemployment case. So it was like literally 2 months I wasn't working, you know, I was struggling. Like this has been a very like hard time. Like, you know, and I'm like a wife, I have like 2 kids and stuff, and it's just been really hard. Like I don't eat well, I don't sleep well, you know, this is just very stressful. And, you know, I told her, I was like, why did I not get my unemployment? She told me because I didn't work a certain amount. And she said that I was sent a letter out to me stating why I was denied, but I never received any type of letter nor an email. And then I asked, I was like, why is it that I never received a letter? And she said, oh, it's because how you have your address. You know, it's because I live in like mobile home trailers, so it's like lot numbers, but that's the same address I've always been using. So she just said that my letter got sent back, like it like bounced back because I didn't have an address, but I always use that address. And then I was locked out of my account, so I couldn't certify weekly. And then I finally got in contact with somebody, another representative. She was very helpful. I think her name was Sandra Scott. And then, you know, she helped me get into my portal. And she said I was eligible for PUA. So I did the verify me, the ID me, and I applied for the PUA, and I had to wait, you know, the 17 to 21 days. I had to wait a certain amount of time. And then I was still waiting. And then during that time, I didn't get any help. So I went out of my way to find a lawyer, like an appointed lawyer for me, like for low income people. I was eligible. So me and him, we would message back with each other. And he would help me. And he said that, you know, the Georgia Department of Labor was like behind on claims and everything. And then, you know, I was still filing weekly. I received a letter stating that I was denied the PUA because I was eligible for the unemployment. But originally the representative told me, you know, I wasn't eligible for the unemployment, so I could get PUA. And that was a letter. And then I spoke to my to my lawyer again. He said he finally got in contact with somebody from the Georgia Department of Labor, and he said that the reason why I was denied the regular, I was denied the PUA was because that they were still working on my claim from the original unemployment, benefits. They said that I still had a pending determination and that I wouldn't get like a review until March of next year on 2021. So it's just been like a miscommunications, I've been told like different things, like it's just been like messy. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll hear from Representative Viola Davis and then Representative Rhonda Bernard, Representative Donna McLeod, and Representative Basemore. Okay, Representative Davis.
To listen to these stories, there is not a human being on this planet whose heart isn't breaking right now. We have done all that we can as elected officials, from requesting a congressional investigation to writing for an investigation and an audit of the Department of Labor, to requesting a 24/7 call center. The minimum we should be doing is showing the claimants deserve the dignity and respect of a response. You putting in claims and being unable to reach anyone is just inexcusable. So the most I want you to know is that we will not give up with trying to correct this problem.
Rhonda.
Good morning, and as everyone else has said, we have been with you all since the beginning, since we did our first press conference in Clayton County, and we have heard everything that you said. We've tried every possible thing that we could. The Department of Labor has complained and said that we didn't compliment them, and we want to thank them for the job that they did. But the biggest thing is they've not met your basic needs. The basic need of being able to talk to somebody, the basic need of having someone call you back. And I can really empathize even more so because my mom just passed away and I've had lots of forms to fill out. And I've had people that have sat on the phone with me for at least an hour while I filled out each form to make sure it's correct. And it is important. I mean, I've even had some forms come back. They highlighted what was wrong. I sent it back, and then they resolved the issue. And all you all are asking for is for someone to talk to you. And I hope that Ms. Cartwright hears that. The things that we're asking for, the call center, being able to call somebody back, being able to fill out the correct form, those are basic courtesies that we are due. And I just say that Georgia likes to say they're the #1 state to do business, but let's be the #1 state to take care of our people. There are a lot of these individuals who are unemployed. They've never been unemployed. These are people that go to work every day. They don't have computer skills, and we should be doing better to help them through this process. They might not know how to go find that form or to do all of these different things. And we throw out all these acronyms and, they don't know what they are. But there should be somebody there in the Department of Labor. I just don't understand how you can't care enough about people that you keep hearing the same thing. We're only asking for basic customer service. And we should not have to beg you to give our people in Georgia customer service. That's all we're asking for. That way, if you give them the basic customer service that they're asking for, a lot of these issues could be resolved. And I just don't understand why the Department of Labor gets mad every time we have something and says, oh, we're just complaining. We're going to keep doing the same complaining until you give these people in Georgia the basic courtesy and customer service that they deserve. Thank you.
Okay, Donna, we have Representative Bodie, our whip on the line. Representative Bodie.
Yes, thank you so much, Representative Sandra Scott. I just have been listening, and I want to say I really appreciate the work of all my colleagues We have been working on this since the pandemic has begun. I began back in April with dealing with this issue. The pandemic started in March, and we've been dealing with, I think, this now since April or May. But my colleagues have said it best. We're just asking for customer service. I do appreciate Ms. Cartwright being on the phone and being a representative of the Department of Labor, but I want to say this. My quorum is not with you, Ms. Cartwright. It is with the Commissioner of the Department of Labor, Mark Butler, who, like the elected officials on this telephone call, this Zoom call, place our hand on the Bible and swear oath to serve the citizens of the state of Georgia. He is not serving the citizens of the state of Georgia. And respectfully, for you to come on and give us stats that respectfully we can't really verify, and also to give stats when you have people on the phone that are telling you that they're going through issues and they're pleading out to you, it's not the right thing to do, because those stats do not help these people to put food on their table, to help these people, these constituents, these citizens, our constituents, our citizens in this great state of Georgia, to pay their bills, to pay their car note, to keep their homes from being repossessed. So don't give us those stats. Don't give them those stats. They don't need those stats. They need results from Commissioner Mark Butler to open up the doors of his offices in all 159 counties, to do what he's been elected to do as a statewide constitutional officer. That is his duty. That is the reason why he was elected, to serve the people of the state of Georgia. Do not give us those statistics when you hear these hearts pleading out to you. Thank you.
Representative McLeod.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you guys for coming on, and to our constituents that are listening. You're all our constituents. We don't care where you live, because we've been at this for every one of you. I promise you. We have taken on, even our staff has taken on the responsibility of logging names. We did our part. We did everything they told us to do to help our constituents, and still we're behind. It's been egregious. It's just been completely egregious. I can tell you this, I have right now a constituent that I'm trying my best to help as a human being, first and foremost, not just as a representative, but as a human being, that's gonna probably lose her home on January the 4th. How can she enjoy Christmas? She can't. I had a young lady that contacted us back in August. At that time, she had gotten COVID. She was pregnant, she got pregnant as well. Her husband lost his job, and that was in June, and she still has not gotten her check at all. And then I have another constituent who's waiting since June again to get a check, and no check. This we cannot accept. And again, the Department of Labor, Ms. Cartwright, I'm sure you're doing your best, but we offered to bring in the National Guard to train them. We did everything. We stood out in the heat to make sure that everyone knew that we stood on the side of our constituents, and still nothing was done by the Department of Labor. Again, Commissioner Butler is an elected official, and he has every right over that department. We are doing our job as legislators, and we're going above and beyond doing that because we care about our constituents, because we know we represent you, and we know we want to do right by you. And it's enough is enough. This has been egregious. It's got to stop. The Department of Labor needs to decide what they need to get this done, and get it done, because they have the resources. When we first started this, they said it was not a money issue. That's what they told us. It wasn't a money issue. They got the money. It was if it was a manpower issue, let's talk about it. Let's get it done. And nothing's been done. And there are real people hurting. As everyone can see, these are real human beings, and we are human beings. We're not just elected officials. We're human beings. We have family members that need unemployment too. We have family members that are going through this. Some of us are going through it ourselves. Please, please understand. This is not about bashing the Department of Labor, but we cannot afford for people to go hungry in this country any more than the richest nation on this planet, and we have people going hungry. It's time for change. Let's make sure this happens. And Department of Labor, you need to step up and do your job, period.
Okay, Representative Basemore, and then we will end with Representative Kim Schofield closing us out. Representative Basemore.
Thank you, Representative Scott, and good morning, everyone. And my heart is just breaking. We hear these stories on a regular basis every day. My personal cell phone rings and we listen to you and we try to help you. Just as you are not being respected, he is not respecting your state representatives either. We have tried and tried and tried. And what he did say publicly is that we're inciting a riot because we are trying to help our constituents. We have heard all of these different stories about what our constituents are going through. And as far as I want to piggyback on the money again, yes, it was said that money wasn't an issue. While we were out there, there were some of our constituents that are unemployed that said, we will come to work for you. We will help you with the backlog. I've even called and offered certain people with IT experience, and I was told, tell them to go file an application. If this is really an issue, you will accept the help and you will help them. In addition, if fraud is the major issue here, who's responsible for reporting that fraud? If those individuals don't even know that that is why they've been denied, then I believe the onus is on the Department of Labor to report the fraud so that it could be cleared up. At least the constituents would hear from someone at that point, and that could be rectified. In addition, my colleagues and I, we've taken money out of our own pocket to help our constituents, despite the fact that some in the state legislature had determined that we should take a cut. We are still helping. We want to help. We know the issue because we are not getting an answer. And as it was said from our congressional counterparts, we've contacted them. And I hope you heard that the governor is the person that can instruct the commissioner, Mark Butler, to improve and to make sure he disseminates those checks. And that was another thing I want to say. I heard Ms. Cartwright say about the number of claims that have been sent out and the money. Well, from what we have been hearing, they may have been approved initially and maybe received one check, but that they have not been disseminated. So you can add those numbers to your calculation. However, the money is still sitting there. It's not in their pocket, our constituents' pockets. And that's where we need it so that we can help them. And one of our oaths too, when we took office, because all of us are elected, do no harm. Do no harm. That is not what's happening to this date. There has been harm done to our constituents, and it has to stop today.
Okay,
Representative Scott.
Okay, let me say this. Again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming on today. But I am hoping and I am praying that Commissioner Mark Butler know the season that we're in and that it's given. And I pray that he finds within his heart to make these claimants a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year by providing them with their rightful due unemployment claims benefit checks. Because at the end of this year, people will be forced out of their homes. And we know that the number is rising. And people should not be forced out of their homes or losing their, of no fault of their own, because Commissioner Butler have not done his job. Okay, Representative Kim Schofield.
You actually just said everything that we were going to say. But again, thank you to the media and for everyone for joining us today. We know that Georgia has to do better. It must do better. And we're going to continue as legislators to fight, stand with you, stand for you. And we will continue until we know that this system has been resolved. So thank you today for joining us. We look forward to having future calls such as this, hearings, and do not forget to reach out to your local legislator, your elected body. We are the people that serve you, and so we're the ones that are going to be fighting for you. Have a great holiday and know that you have people in your corner praying and will fight your back and that love you. Thank you, everyone, for being on the call today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You all have a happy holiday.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Thank you. Thank you for
United will never be defeated.